Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching and for subscribing. And if you're just visiting, please consider subscribing. So usually we talk about our favorite fragrances in the videos. But today I decided to share with you fragrances that I don't enjoy. And they all come from houses that I absolutely love. And before I start going through the list, I just want to say, not that I need to say it, but still, please don't take offense if you love any of these fragrances. They just don't work for me, doesn't make them bad fragrances at all. Okay, let's start with the House of Lancome, and more specifically Maison Lancome line. And if you watched me for a while, you know that this is one of my absolute favorite lines. But there is one fragrance from this line that I do not like. And please don't throw stones at me because it's definitely a very, very popular scent. I am talking about Oud Bouquet. Now, I have this decant of Oud Bouquet, which I purchased quite early on in my fragrance journey. And at that time, oud was one of the notes that I could not handle at all. And obviously, oud is one of the main notes in this fragrance, and at that time, I really couldn't understand the fragrance. It was even offensive to my nose. I put it away, and I've tried it over and over again through the years, hoping to like it, hoping to understand why everyone loves it so much, and it just didn't happen. So, of course, the main notes in here, like I said, there are oud, there is vanilla, there is rose, there is praline, a few other notes. And although I have learned to really like and appreciate many oud fragrances, this one just doesn't work for me. Overall, I find this scent absolutely overpowering. Too much. Way too much of everything. There is too much oud, there is too much sweetness, there is too much rose. It just doesn't work for me. It overpowers me. Even if I spray it once, even if I spray it twice, I just get tired of it so quickly and I cannot handle it. So unfortunately for me, Oud Bouquet is a no-go. Another house that I absolutely love is the House of Xerjoff. I probably at this point have the most fragrances from this house compared to anything else, and there's still so many on my wish list, including, the one that I'm going to talk about. I almost blind bought it, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because I got a sample and I realized right away that this is not for me. And I know that many, many love it, including many of my friends here on YouTube. Now, I'm talking about Accento or Accento Overdose. So I have a sample here, and I really thought that I was going to love this fragrance, although there were some notes that concerned me, and for a good reason. It's these notes that make me absolutely not enjoy this fragrance at all. So what does it have? Well, there are some fruity notes, there are some green notes, there are aldehydes, there is jasmine, lily of the valley, there is rose, there's eucalyptus and pine. And this fragrance does have a bit of all of these elements. It is definitely fruity, and it is definitely a little bit green. So it's like these are some fresh green fruits, which sound really good. And I do like those elements of this fragrance. But what really, really bothers me is eucalyptus. And I pick it up so strongly. It gives it this medicinal kind of a herbal vibe, which is so strong, and to my nose it overpowers everything else, and it's there throughout the life of the fragrance. It's not like it's there maybe just at the beginning or at the end or whatever. I feel it through the whole life of the fragrance, and for that reason this one is a big no. So I'm so glad that I sampled it first and didn't blind buy, because this would have been a major fail. Okay, next, let's talk about the House of Nishane. Again, another house that I really enjoy. this fragrance that I'm going to talk about, you know, when I looked at the notes, I thought this is right up my alley. I should love this fragrance. Now I'm talking about Xenae. And again, I have a sample of it. I thought I was absolutely going to love it. And when I first apply it to my skin, I do love it. And every time I apply it, I'm tempted to just purchase a full bottle. And I keep thinking, why don't I have a full bottle? This is absolutely gorgeous. But when it starts drying down, every time I have exactly the same reaction. There is something in this fragrance that absolutely bothers me. So let me quickly tell you what the notes in here are. We have blackcurrant, rhubarb, grapefruit, rose, gardenia, sandalwood, vanilla, ambergris, and musk. I mean, even based on the notes, I should absolutely love this fragrance. But like I said, in the dry down, something happens to the vanilla. It gets some type of quality. I don't know what it's from, that it really, really starts to bother me. And the longer it sits on my skin, the more it bothers me. And every time I test this fragrance, it ends up in exactly the same way, me scrubbing it off in the evening because I cannot take it any longer. So unfortunately, again, based on the notes, I should absolutely love this fragrance, but Xenae is a no-go for me. Okay, let's talk about another one of my favorite houses. And you know, you will see me repeating this over again, and that's because I've truly chosen houses that I absolutely love. And it just shows you that, you know, just because you love a certain house doesn't mean you're gonna love every fragrance from this house. So that's what we're talking about today. So the next one is the House of Juliet Mad. And you know that I've raved about this house for a very, very long time. And at this point, I think I've sampled majority of their fragrances. And again, this one I thought was going to be one of my favorites, but it turned out to be not favorite at all. Now, the fragrance I'm talking about is called Stiletos on Legs. And in fact, it's interesting. In a recent video, Marcy talked about this house. She got a chance to try some of the fragrances, and this was one of the samples that she tried. And this one turned out to be one of her favorites. That's wonderful. For me, unfortunately, this one really, really doesn't work. Now, the main notes in here are pear, lemon, there are some floral notes, there is carnation, there is musk, vanilla, patchouli, cedar. Again, really overall nice notes. But what I get here is carnation. I think it's the carnation that spoils this fragrance for me. I love the pear in this scent. I really love pear in fragrances, and that's why I was so interested in this one. I thought this was another great pear scent. And yes, I do get pear in here. I do get some floral notes. I do get musk, and there's a bit of patchouli. There's a bit of woodiness. All of that is wonderful. But it's the note of carnation that, again, I feel pretty strongly, and it totally ruins the scent. It gives it some kind of, I don't know, some kind of spiciness, I would say, but it adds something to it that just doesn't work for my nose. And again, I've sampled it many times because I really wanted to love this fragrance, but it just doesn't work for me. So again, this is Stiletos on Legs from Juliet Mad. Next house that I want to mention is the House of Guerlain, another one of my favorites. And the fragrance from this house that I really don't like is Shalimar. And it's really any variation of Shalimar. Now, there are many, many flankers of Shalimar. Obviously, I haven't tried all of them. I haven't even tried that many. But I've tried the original, I've tried Souffle Intense, I've tried one of the colognes. I know they have a few different versions of colognes. So I've tried quite a few, and no matter how much I tried, I kind of felt like, well, it's a classic. I really should have it in my collection. I really should love it. And I did have Shalimar Souffle at some point, but it got decluttered because I never reached for it. Although Souffle was much better than the original, it was still not anything that I reached for. The original I found quite outdated, a bit too spicy. It just nothing in it really worked for me. Souffle was more kind of on a lemon pie kind of side, but still I've tried much better lemon pies in fragrances. So again, it just didn't work for me. I know it's a classic that many love, and it definitely deserves a lot of the respect, but unfortunately for me, it's one of the fragrances that I do not enjoy. Okay, next house on the list is Atelier des Ors. It's a relatively new to me house. I discovered it last year. I have 3 full bottles, which I absolutely love, and I was really looking forward to expanding my Atelier des Ors collection. And this summer, kind of at the beginning of the summer, I really became interested in their scent called Blanc Polychrome. It's a citrus scent. And again, at some point I was close to blind buying it, but I didn't. Instead, I got a sample. And once I tested it, I was really glad that I didn't buy it. Now, this is not a bad scent at all. It's a really pleasant, nice, citrusy scent. However, Atelier des Ors is a very expensive house. And there's nothing in this scent that really stands out. You can find this kind of scent profile in a much more reasonable price range. It just didn't make sense to purchase it. Really, it's a pretty basic citrusy scent to my nose. In addition to that, it did not have good performance at all. It didn't last, it didn't project. So this one left me completely unimpressed, completely not interested in purchasing it. So Blanc Polychrome is a no for me. Okay, next one. This I think is going to be controversial because so many people love this fragrance. Now, this comes from the house of BDK Parfums, and it is Gris Charnel. Now, I have a sample. I think I had another sample before this one, and I've tested it and tested it and tested it. And I kind of kept going back and forth. Do I like it? Do I not like it? At some points I like it. At some points I don't like it. And what I figured out in time is that I really don't like it. In the long term, I don't like it. Again, there's something in it that really bothers me long term, where when I first put it on my skin, it is really nice. But the longer it stays on my skin, the more it starts to annoy me, really. And it has cardamom, it has fig, it has black tea, there is sandalwood, there is tonka. I mean, great notes. You know my love for tea fragrances. And I wish that on my skin there was more tea and less sandalwood and less fig. I feel like sandalwood mixed with fig creates something somewhat annoying to my nose, something that bothers me, there's just perhaps a little bit too much sandalwood and a little bit too much fig. That's what I'm attributing it to. So it's a gorgeous scent. I know it has many fans, and I wanted to love it, and I really tried, and I keep going back to the samples that I have and retrying them over and over again, and maybe one day I will fall in love with the scent. I'm not sure, but so far I've had no luck. Next house that I want to talk about is Tatiana Terenzi. Again, I've been a fan of this house for a long time, and unfortunately the fragrance that I don't like from this house is another favorite. It's many people's favorite that gets talked about a lot on YouTube. I'm talking about Amdromeda. Please, I don't know exact way to pronounce it, but I actually had a decant of this fragrance that I passed on to someone else, so I have nothing to show you, but I tested it extensively, and I kind of expected it to be this fruity floral, which it is. But what doesn't work for me in this fragrance is musk. It's one of those Tatiana Terenzi fragrances where, to me, there's too much musk, and it has that kind of slight synthetic feel. It's just too much. It doesn't smell natural. It just overpowers the fragrance, and it doesn't work for me. So unfortunately, Amdromeda is another no-go. Okay, we're left with two more. So the next one I want to talk about comes from the house of Kilian, and it's from their Love Something collection, the one that's sold at Sephora, that comes in those black bowls with pedestals. And this one is Kissing, and I do have a travel spray of this. I don't have a full bottle, and I'm glad that I don't. In general, I really enjoy that collection. I have princes, I have boys, I have adults. I've also tried something about Sunset. It's their blackcurrant scent, which is really nice as well. But Kissing is my least favorite from that line. Again, I don't hate it, but I don't love it, and I never reach for this travel spray. So what is this fragrance about? Well, it has bergamot, it has lily of the valley, it has green notes, rose, milk, sugar, vanilla. Sounds great, and it sort of smells good at first, but it's like, to me, something is not balanced with this fragrance. I don't know, it's like these floral notes are not mixing well with milk and even with vanilla. There's almost perhaps a little bit too much sweetness in here. Like there is vanilla and sugar, and I almost feel like it's too much. Maybe if they toned down the sweetness, it would have played better together with the other notes. So it's not a horrible scent by any means, but it is definitely my least favorite from this line, and the one that I'm not interested in purchasing a full bottle of. And the last one I'm going to talk about is So Scandale from Jean Paul Gaultier. Again, I had a sample of that fragrance, which is somewhere. I wasn't able to find it, but I know exactly how it smells. And in general, I am a big fan of Jean Paul Gaultier La Belle line and Scandale line. I really enjoyed those fragrances. I love the original Scandale. I really like Scandale à Paris, which is probably my favorite. And so when So Scandale came out, I was really curious about it, even though I knew that this was not a scent that I could blind buy because it has a note of tuberose. So I needed to sample it first. But, you know, many of the reviewers said that the note of raspberry, which is also present there, is quite strong and, you know, sort of almost overpowers the note of tuberose. That's why I was so curious about it. I love fruity notes. There's also milk. There's also orange blossom, which, you know, I've been really obsessed with orange blossom this spring and summer. So I really wanted to try this, and I really wanted to love it. And unfortunately, it didn't work for me for quite an obvious reason. To my nose, tuberose was very present and very strong, and in fact it was the tuberose that overpowered the raspberry. Yes, everything else played together really beautifully. The milkiness of this fragrance, the flowery nuances from orange blossom, the raspberry, beautiful, but tuberose was just too strong and it was not for me, and that's why I never ended up purchasing a full bottle. So there you go. This is my list of fragrances that I really don't like from houses that I absolutely love. Would love to know if you have fragrances that you don't like from houses that you love. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye.